First up, we have Qualia. Mark, are you with us?
I am.
All right.
Hello, everyone.
All right, let me introduce you and your platform for Qualia, and then the floor will be yours.
Sounds good.
The Qualia technology infrastructure for title and escrow companies, lenders, title insurers, and service providers enables each party to complete their own unique task required for a closing and exchange information in real time, standardize and automate back and forth workflows, and collaborate with one another in a way never before possible. All right, Mark, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. So hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. As Jennifer said, my name's Mark Heslop. I head up our product team here at Qualia, and Qualia's mission is to transform the home buying transaction. We want to make it into a simple, secure, and enjoyable experience for everyone involved. And we believe there's a journey to take on there. And to achieve that, we've built a technology infrastructure to streamline the closing process, and we're going to dig into that today. And it's the technology that title teams use to do everything they need to do to close a transaction. And it's also what lending teams can now plug into so they can collaborate super effectively with their partners. And today I'm going to talk about a few things as it relates to both a lender's and title company's experience, specifically how we're connecting the lender and the title companies in a differentiated way. Also, I'll show you how our approach to software development has used structured data to streamline the end-to-end transaction. So let's start with the basics. And I think this is probably definitely something the whole industry acknowledges and will agree around. And it's clear that the consumers expect faster, more digitalized closings today. They want the closings to be more transparent. They want a more transparent experience. They want to know what's going on at any given time. They want more predictability when buying a home or refinancing. And in order to be competitive, all businesses who participate in the closing experience really need to provide that. So the real estate closing process involves multiple stakeholders. And I think herein kind of lies a big part of the challenge when it comes to creating a streamlined automated experience. So whether it's the lender, the realtor, the title agent, the escrow officer, the attorney, the buyer, the seller, and any other vendor that participates and provides a service in the closing experience, they all need to be able to execute their work effectively and efficiently and collaborate. And they've all faced their own challenges when trying to meet these needs of the consumer. And where technology was really supposed to make things easier and more affordable, I think a lot of the technology point solutions that exist have actually become overly complex and have almost enabled this very, very challenging behavior where transitioning information between one another becomes really, really complex and cumbersome because every system has its own data structure, its own way of behaving, and its own mode of operating. So even in isolation, they can be very effective. When it comes to collaborating across all these stakeholders, it can be very, very complex, very error prone, and very cumbersome. So delivering a modern closing experience, one that is fast, transparent, secure, hinges on the ability of these parties to exchange relevant information quickly and securely, obviously security being really utmost priority. And historically, this has been difficult to achieve with these existing point solutions. So while these systems were individually powerful, unfortunately, automating bi-directional data exchange between the title companies and other transaction parties is really not easy, and it hasn't really been done effectively before Qualia took on this mission. And we've analyzed this a lot, and I think it really boils down to two reasons. First, each transaction party keeps its own data in their siloed system, meaning it's difficult for one party to obtain information from one another. For example, the lenders like LOS, or the title company's title production system, has its own way of identifying and managing transactions. And when they come to talk to each other, they may have an API or something in place, but they're typically after the fact, and they're very unfriendly and don't really know how to collaborate effectively. And secondly, even if the data were straightforward to obtain, it isn't structured. So that means it isn't stored in a standardized and recognizable format. And this makes it very difficult, again, for the systems to collaborate and talk to each other. And as a result, the collaboration necessary to complete a closing, from collecting and validating information to exchanging documents to managing funds, has become highly manual and oftentimes happens via fax, email, or phone calls. Okay, so at Qualia, we've addressed this challenge by building a set of modern, cloud-based and interconnected software solutions for each transaction party. And the diagram on this slide shows all of our product lines working together on this shared infrastructure. And this shared technology infrastructure enables each of these parties to complete their own tasks, their own unique tasks required for the closing to happen, but it also enables them to exchange structured transaction data in real time, standardize and automate back and forth workflows, and also collaborate with one another in a way that's just typically not been possible without this type of ecosystem built out and in place. And this eliminates costly downtime and ultimately enables closing teams to provide a simple, secure, and enjoyable home buying or refinance experience. Why do we need this? Why does the industry need this? And in our conversations with thousands of lenders and title companies, it became clear that no one really knew what was going on behind their scenes at their closing partners. And if we take a look at this set of milestones on this slide, for instance, this is what many lenders think is happening on the title side. Whereas in reality, what's actually happening is more like this. There's a ton of manual activity that's happening to execute every closing. And with so many moving pieces, it's been a challenge for everyone on the transaction to stay up to date and to do the work needed to close on time and provide a really differentiated quality of service to the buyer and seller. And once all stakeholders are communicating through the shared platform that helps structure the information, we can start to remove some of these cumbersome manual activities from the process and automate the transaction as much as possible. Okay, so with that introduction, I now want to take a look at a quick example of how this would happen in Qualia's software. And if we start with the lender placing an order to the title company using Qualia's Connect for Lender product, this is fully integrated into the lender's LOS. One of the biggest things we learn is that the ecosystem is already super complex, and adding new product lines or new interfaces to the system would be a big hurdle to drive adoption and to really solve this problem effectively. So we wanted to meet lenders, for example, where you already are, where you're already used to operating, which is the loan origination system. And we want to be able to create this structured data exchange from the loan origination system directly to the title company. So we've built a system now that allows people to place orders directly from the system that they're already in and send structured information to the title company. And then the title company can automatically accept the order that comes from these lenders. And the information that the lender sent to place the order can be used to automatically do things such as assign the roles of all the people needed to work on the given order. They can also assign a workflow so they know exactly what tasks need to be done to close the order. And they can add any fees to the order, to the closing disclosure, the settlement statement, and essentially they're off to the races without having clicked a button. And this is something that we've been obsessing over for the last several years, is how can an order be placed, accepted, and everything that can possibly be added to the order be added automatically. And then anybody who needs to do anything that requires manual attention is informed and they start the work. And essentially they're off to the races. And this can include things such as ordering the title search. And vendors, such as the title search vendor, can now work on the request using the settlement agent's preferred settings, meaning that when they return the search, it's not a PDF, but rather it's actually structured data. And therefore information such as the legal description, the vesting information is automatically added to the order. And the commitment, which will now contain structured requirements and exceptions, is automatically drafted using these default conditions and settings. And then a draft can automatically be sent to the lender, and you create this domino effect of automation and efficiency. And these requirements automatically then generate the tasks required to clear title in the workflow section. And these tasks can also be automated. So when I talk about the domino effect of every domino needs to hit the next thing, that's kind of the mentality we have when we're building out this, these mechanics behind the scenes. So that when you order a title search, it comes back, it's structured data, it creates the task needed to be done. As you can see here, ordering the tax certificate, HOAs, HOA docs, managing the payoffs, any other lien that needs to be cleared. These can then automatically be ordered using the vendors that can be selected via this criteria. And then suddenly the closing process is just happening. And then people who, anything that needs manual attention, people can be spending a lot more time creating this differentiated, streamlined, transparent experience. And possibly one of my favorite things about everything that we do here at Qualia is that during all of this, when everything's happening, all of this activity, everyone can be kept in the loop by accessing Qualia's Connect portal and seeing where the transaction's at. They can access any documents. They can see if there's any outstanding things that they need to provide. So if the buyer needs to provide information, or the seller or the realtor or the attorney, et cetera, everyone can log into this secure portal, see where the transaction's at. And it means that the lender doesn't have to constantly be phoning the escrow officer saying, has this been done? Has this been completed? Where's this at? Are we on time? Are we going to make the closing date? Is title cleared? Et cetera, et cetera. So I know this is a bit of a whirlwind tour into something super complex, and it's a lot to cover in just 10 minutes. But the main points I really wanted to illustrate is that bringing all of these parties together on one shared infrastructure allows us to drive efficiency, increase transparency, and provide a much better experience to all parties involved in the transaction. So if streamlining the closing process is of any interest to you, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We love talking about this stuff. We obsess about making this more and more efficient over time. So if you're a settlement agency, a title company, a lender, a broker, or any other party that participates in the closing process, we'd love to talk to you. So do reach out to us, and we'll happily go deep into everything we're doing here at Qualia. And with that, I think we've got a little bit of time for questions that may have come in.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mark, for sharing that presentation and that demonstration. What's the benefit of bringing everyone onto a single system of record?
That's a great question. I mean, I think the biggest challenge we saw when we took on this challenge about 6-7 years ago is that there's a lot of really valuable software out there, but it's all very disconnected, and it all solves a piece of the transaction, but it makes it very difficult for each party to actually collaborate effectively. And as I'm sure everybody who's tuning into this knows very well, the closing process is a team game. Everybody's got to play their role, and everybody's got to collaborate, communicate, share information. There's a lot of similar information that every party needs to be wary of, and they all have their role to play. And for a closing process to happen super effectively, everybody's got to be on the same page, communicating effectively, sharing information very diligently. And if you don't have one shared system of record and one structured way of managing data, it becomes very difficult. And I think that's kind of the big challenge that Qualia set out to achieve or overcome, is this disconnected experience is really cumbersome. It creates manual inefficiencies, latencies. It's quite expensive eventually when you've kind of duct taped all these systems together with APIs that a lot of them, if we're honest, were built after the fact. A lot of on-premise software that's not really designed to be connected to other things. It becomes very cumbersome. So I think our main goal was overcoming this, and we could only achieve that by building this one system of record and bringing all parties onto this one holistic platform.
Thanks so much, Mark. I'll now pass it back to Jennifer to introduce our next demo. Take care, Mark.